Hey everyone! Welcome to Omocha Reviews, and here today, and I am back with another Yuri on Ice video, just like I promised in our previous one about what the Mizuno collaboration with Yuri on Ice could possibly mean. Well, I suppose the question has been answered by recent events. To fill you in, Mizuno has finally released its remaining 2 illustrations with Yuri on Ice for its special Yuuri Katsuki edition of Japan's Winter Olympics uniform. And you can learn more about that by clicking the link up there in the corner of the video. But to recap, the very first illustration was dropped last December 26. It was Yuuri Katsuki standing triumphantly on the ice, presumably at the Winter Olympics. This was illustrated by original character designer Tadashi Hiramatsu and was posted with the promise of 2 more to come in February. And after a long wait and a couple of delays, the second illustration was finally dropped on February 19, and of course it is another Winter Olympics scene. And this time, they treated fans to the sight of characters we haven't seen in so long, and all of them on the ice to practice for their respective routines. You have Yuri standing confidently on the side looking over the ice, and you also have Victor right behind him, presumably in a team uniform as well. It doesn't look like his usual coaching attire. Towards the back, you have Yuri Plisetsky and Yakov, as well as Otabek doing his own thing, and of course in the foreground, Chris. How do I know that's Chris? Well, Hiramatsu decided to leave a little bit of commentary describing what he tried to convey. Essentially, an experienced Yuri, a worried-looking Victor, Yuri Plisetsky conscious of Yuuri Katsuki, Otabek doing his own thing, and Chris, quote-unquote, who can afford it. If you know what that might mean, please do tell us in the comments. But what I think is the most important takeaway from Hiramatsu-san's commentary is the fact that he says that this illustration apparently came from the quote-unquote image of Yuri on Ice director Sayo Yamamoto. If you don't really get the significance, it's the fact that Sayo-kan has been silent, like as silent as the grave, for years. We don't know whether the idea for this practice scene came from Sayo-kan or whether she just told Hiramatsu what he could possibly draw in it, but it is really great to hear that she's somehow still in the picture, thank goodness. Because it is quite literally some proof of life from her. And it's a lot more reassuring because Kubo-sensei is still missing. She's deleted her IG and her Twitter is still on private. But back to the topic, this image really is a great treat for anyone who's missed Otabek, Yuri, and Chris. Though I really hate the fact that Victor's face is completely covered here, I'll take it. The third and final image in the set, however, gives us something we've all been waiting for, and that is a scene with just Yuri and Victor. Here, Victor appears to be in full coach mode. He's in a full suit, as usual, though I do find this a little confusing considering the previous image seemed to show him competing, so I'd assume that they'd be competing together. Yuri, meanwhile, is of course in his Team Japan Olympic uniform, because that's really what they're advertising. Both of them are huddled close here, and unfortunately, both are wearing masks because they do appear to be in a public space. Again, I am extremely frustrated with the fact that both of these characters are wearing masks. Because beyond the fact that we don't see Victor's face at all in all 3 of these images, the masks get in the way of what is easily the most interesting thing about this image, and that's their expressions. And both Yuri and Victor are looking pretty worried beyond the usual practice jitters that we'd expect. Because it looks a lot like the tension that could be felt before the Grand Prix finals in the anime itself. You know, the one where Yuri was supposed to retire. There is so much tension in this image, hidden behind masks, but you can see it so clearly in their body language, even if they're in a public space. And really, this is what makes this entire series, just so frustrating. Because you want to know what's going on. And at this point, quite frankly, I'm beginning to think we'll never find out. Because if MAPPA or Yuri on Ice were going to announce a release date for the long-awaited Ice Adolescence movie where we'll finally get some closure for these characters, well, this was the time to do it, and they're still not saying anything. Beyond this point, there's nothing ahead for Yuri on Ice beyond its future anniversaries. Mizuno has gone above and beyond what the actual creators have done so far by actually giving us 3 new illustrations and a line of clothing just to celebrate the series on its 5th anniversary. But the situation for Yuri on Ice, Ice Adolescence, or any possible continuation like a second season, it seems so bleak. MAPPA remains extremely busy with its cash cows like Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen. Meanwhile, the creators of the show, Kubo-sensei and Sayo Yamamoto, are both off-grid. So the question remains, when will the Yuri on Ice movie or continuation come out? The answer is not anytime soon. Because while MAPPA voluntarily reminded us of Yuri on Ice's existence, they have shown very little commitment in pursuing it. In fact, I wish they'd just do us all a favor and give it to another animation studio like KyoAni or something. But while my hopes are being laid to rest here, I am pretty thankful that Mizuno decided to do this. Because these 3 illustrations, they're not a movie, they're not a second season, but they do somehow give us the closure we've been looking for. We got literal snapshots of what life after the Yuri on Ice anime was for these characters. And they've shown us that Yuri, Victor, Yuri Plisetsky, they've all gone to do so many great things. And it's heartwarming to see them all together and still persevering together. And it almost feels like a reminder that these characters are okay, and they're doing great, and you shouldn't worry about them. So despite the huge disappointment of not getting an announcement for Season 2 or a movie, I am pretty glad that Mizuno went out of its way to push a collaboration with Yuri on Ice after all of these years. I mean, MAPPA still could decide to drop another trailer out of absolutely nowhere, but Mizuno has our backs a lot better than they do anyway. In fact, if this interview and Google Translate are to be trusted, Mizuno does actually have plans of doing another collaboration with Yuri on Ice in the future. Especially considering just how much of a success Yuri on Ice collaborations are for them. Never thought I'd be relying on a sportswear company to give me anime updates, but here we are. Anyway, I'm genuinely curious, what do you think of the illustrations that came out? What do you think Yuuri and Victor are so worried about in that 3rd image? Do you think we're ever getting a movie? Please let us know in the comments, let's talk about it, let's cry together. In the meantime, if you liked this video, please do leave us a like, we would appreciate it. If you'd like to subscribe, that would also be very much appreciated. I don't know when I'll be making another Yuri on Ice video, but the moment that there is any news, I will definitely be back. Anyway, this was Anne, and until next time, goodbye!